Okay, so recently I've been telling you things about the connections of the assassination attempt to the Soros family, and also we know that the CIA, FBI were probably involved, the Secret Service, and the Soros family connected to a lot of the people in the White House. This was some critical breaking news that was reported. I first saw a report of this on Benny Johnson's website. It was posted by Gateway Pundit by Christina Layla, July 22nd, 2024. The title says, "Mobile Data Reveals Someone Who Regularly Visited Thomas Crook's Home and Work Also Visited a Building in Washington, D.C. near FBI office." Who visited Thomas Crook's home before he attempted to assassinate President Trump? Mobile ad data analysis reveals someone who regularly visited Crook's Pennsylvania home also visited a building in D.C. near an FBI office. The Oversight Project identified 9 devices linked to ad IDs that were located at Crook's home and work within the last year. Per the Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project, we found the assassin's connections through our in-depth analysis of mobile ad data to track movements of Crooks and his associates. To do this, we tracked devices that regularly visited both Crook's home and place of work, and we followed them. This cannot be business as usual. Business as usual almost got the real Donald Trump killed. Congress has already shown an inability to compel information fact-finding and bring accountability. Someone who regularly visited Crook's home and work also visited a building in Washington, D.C. located in Gallery Place. This is in the same vicinity of an FBI office on June 26, 2023, the Oversight Project said. Another device linked to Crooks visited Plymouth, Massachusetts. We found a device linked to Crooks' work that traveled to Butler, Pennsylvania on July 4th and July 8th. So this device was linked to Crooks' work. This device stopped all activity on July 12th. On August 30th, 2023, one device linked Crooks visited Allegheny Arms and Gunworks. The Oversight Project posted a map of all the relevant locations within Bethel Park, Pennsylvania that are linked to Crook's home and place of work. For the protection of whistleblowers in our investigation, we will not be sharing further information with the Congressional Task Force due to the connective tissue between that entity and FBI, United States Secret Service, and other entities, the Oversight Project said. For those who are tracking this type of data, we identified devices that were located at Crook's home and his work within the past year. There were at least 9 devices linked to these IDs, and we are willing to cooperate with legitimate investigations and share further information. If you have any further information, leads, or tips, please email us directly at tips.oversightproject@heritage.org. That's tips.oversightproject@heritage.org. It goes on to say, Crooks did not act alone. And when Director of the Secret Service, Kim Cheadle, was asked about whether he acted alone, she refused to answer that question. But it says Crooks did not act alone. 9 days ago, President Trump was grazed in the ear after the 20-year-old gunman named Thomas Crooks climbed on a roof and took several shots at Trump and rally-goers in Butler, Pennsylvania. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle, who just resigned, appeared before the House Oversight Committee on Monday to answer questions, which she did not answer, about the so-called security breaches that led to an assassination attempt on Trump during his Butler, Pennsylvania rally on July 13th. GOP Representative Andy Biggs asked Cheadle if Crooks acted alone. She refused to answer and referred his question to the FBI. Well, isn't it interesting that the device was tracked from Crooks' home to the gallery place, where, you know, they have a mall there, and they also have offices of the FBI in that location. So this ping was tracked to the vicinity of this FBI office on June 26th of 2023. So they are asking the question, whose device is this? Because if this person was going back and forth from Washington, D.C., from the FBI office. So we now know, of course, that Thomas Crooks trained to fire the AR-15 in the same building, same location that Department of Homeland Security people are trained. So who went from Crooks' home numerous times to this gallery place in Washington, D.C., where the FBI offices are? To me, this screamed inside job, as well as the Navy SEAL who climbed up on the roof and went into the room where the Secret Service was looking out the window, and they had a full view of the fairly slightly sloped roof that was no big deal. And they were looking out that window at him for over an hour and did nothing. That said to me, inside job. And the connections to the Soroses infiltrating our judicial system and trying to prosecute Donald Trump, to jail him so that he could not become president. And when all of their attempts kept failing and failing, this was their next assassination attempt. And it's very obvious and very clear. So this is really interesting that they tracked the assassin's connections through their in-depth analysis of mobile ad data to track the movements of Crooks and his associates. And that the devices that regularly visited both Crooks' home and place of work, and they followed them to various locations to see who he was connected to and where he went. So I just want to say, I pray to God that all the schemers and liars will be exposed. This whole scheme is beginning to unravel before our eyes, and this is absolutely shocking, showing that somebody was training this shooter. Add that to the fact that the Jewish Larry Fink, who owns and runs BlackRock, did the commercial at the high school of Crooks, and he was featured in this recruitment type of ad. And we know that BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street, they're all wealthy, and they're buying up properties and land, and they're controlling many companies, and they're billionaires, just like the Soroses are billionaires. So it's this global elite that want to get rid of President Donald Trump because they want a globalist cabal and they want to succeed in it. Now let's go to one more verification of this breaking news that's stunning and shocking. Blaze Media writes this article, phone associated with would-be assassin pinged near FBI DC offices in 2023, report says. This was posted July 22nd, 2024 by Joseph M. Hanneman and Steve Baker. Geolocation investigation shows a phone associated with Thomas Crooks visited Butler, Pennsylvania twice just days before the shooting. A cell phone associated with the home and work addresses of would-be assassin Thomas Crooks visited the Gallery Place building in Washington, D.C. that houses a mall and offices of the FBI, the Heritage Oversight Project reported July 22nd. The Oversight Project, part of the Heritage Foundation, began a geolocation investigation hours after the July 13th attempted assassination of former President Donald John Trump at a fairground in Butler, Pennsylvania. CROOKS, 20 years old, was killed by the Secret Service counter sniper after opening fire on Trump and the crowd just after 6:11 p.m. Eastern Time. Only a perfectly timed turn of his head kept Trump from being killed instantly by a rifle round fired from about 130 yards away. The shooting took the life of retired Fire Chief Corey Compratore of Sarver, Pennsylvania, and seriously wounded David Dutch of New Kensington, Pennsylvania, and James Copenhaver of Moon Township, Pennsylvania. We began this investigation on the night of the shooting, an Oversight Project spokesman told Blaze News. We've been working 24/7 since then. Oversight Project leaders said that they hope other experts in the field of geolocation searches and criminal investigations will step forward to assist with their probe. The investigation was begun out of concern that the work of the FBI, Secret Service, and other federal law enforcement won't be transparent or thorough. Investigators used CROOKS' home and work addresses to find cell phones that were common to both addresses, and then triangulated each phone's paths of travel. They used commercially available phone identification numbers that are normally used to tailor advertising to the phone's user. According to Oversight investigators, a phone associated with CROOKS' work address at a nursing home in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, traveled to the Gallery Place complex in downtown Washington, D.C. on June 26, 2023. The phone pinged 7 or 8 times from that location the same day. Gallery Place, an 11-story mixed-use building constructed over the Chinatown metro station, is filled with retail stores and restaurants, but also houses offices of the FBI on the upper floors. Former FBI Special Agent Kyle Serafin told Blaze News. So that is just absolutely shocking. It is the closest location off-site that I'm aware of to the Washington Field office, Serafin said. Agents are assigned to Washington Field, but they work out of Gallery Place. Wow. You guys, this says inside job so badly. Investigators at the Oversight Project said that the phone associated with that ID number most likely belonged to someone who visited CROOKS at his place of work, and they said they don't believe it was CROOKS' phone. Geolocation technology uses a unique ID assigned to each cell phone and searches for common places where the phone and its user traveled. Every device has an ad ID. It's kind of like a social security number for your cell phone, said a spokesman for the Oversight Project. It's unique and it identifies the phone. You can't erase it. You can refresh and get a new one, but you only have one ID per phone. Investigators said that they found at least 9 devices associated with CROOKS' home and work addresses in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. They believe at least 2 of those phones belonged to CROOKS himself. A cell phone was found under CROOKS' body after he was killed by a counter sniper on July 13th. Based on geolocation data, investigators found a device associated with CROOKS that traveled twice from Bethel Park just south of Pittsburgh to Butler, about 55 miles north of CROOKS' home. Those trips took place on July 4th and July 8th of 2024, the Oversight Project reported. That phone ceased all its activity on July 12th. And the shooting happened the following day. The device also stopped at a Home Depot in Butler, they said. A report from U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican, Wisconsin, said CROOKS purchased a $5 and a half foot double ladder at a Home Depot just after 9:30 a.m. on the day of the shooting. Investigators do not believe Crooks used the ladder to access the roof just north of the fairgrounds. So he bought the ladder, but they don't think that he used it. Investigators theorize that Crooks made trips to surveil the Butler site in advance of the July 13th Trump rally at the Butler Farm Show in Incorporated Fairgrounds. Another device associated with Crooks took a flight from Pittsburgh to Logan International Airport in Boston on March 1st, then went to a hotel in Plymouth Harbor, Massachusetts. The device returned to Pittsburgh on March 4th. A phone device linked to Crooks visited the Allegheny Arms and Gun Works in Bethel Park on August 30th, 2023. The report said. The devices linked to Crooks' home and work addresses also visited various spots in Bethel Park, including the YMCA, a building that houses a karate school, and a laundromat, a garden center, a golf course, and a Planet Fitness. We are willing to cooperate with legitimate investigations and share further information, Oversight Project Director Mike Howell wrote on X. For the protection of whistleblowers in our investigations, once again they say, we will not be sharing further information with the Congressional Task Force due to the connective tissue between that entity and FBI, the United States Secret Service, and other entities, Hal wrote. The Oversight Project report will undoubtedly add fuel to an already raging public debate about how a 20-year-old man with little known firearm expertise could access the AGR manufacturing complex north of the fairgrounds, climb onto a roof with a perfect line of sight to the podium, and squeeze off a half dozen or more rifle rounds at a former president before being killed. The frustration at the lack of details coming from the FBI and the Secret Service led to a collective venting of spleens by members of the U.S. House of Representatives at Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle during the July 22nd hearing on Capitol Hill. That's the one where she wouldn't answer anything, basically. Cheadle, appointed in September of 2022 by President Joe Biden, spent most of the more than 4-hour hearing deflecting, deferring to the FBI, or saying she simply didn't have answers. Both Democrats and Republicans fired barbed questions at her. Many of the committee members demanded that Cheadle resign, which she did. Tempers boiled over at several points in the hearing. Representative Nancy Mace, a Republican, South Carolina, after not getting answers she wanted from Cheadle, told the Secret Service director, "You are full of..." Under questioning by Representative Lauren Boebert, Republican Colorado, Cheadle acknowledged that she knew how many shell casings were found near Crooks on the roof of Building 6, but would not share the figure with Congress. Cheadle on numerous occasions told committee members they needed to ask the FBI for those answers. "I find this rather maddening," Boebert said, "especially knowing that you do have answers from the FBI, who you've been passing the buck to this entire hearing, not answering a congressional hearing, members of Congress, while you're under oath and under a subpoena." Representative Russell Fry, Republican of South Carolina, said Washington, D.C. is the only town in America that you can be so bad at your job that you actually get a promotion or don't get fired. After listing a litany of questions Cheadle did not answer, Fry said, "I echo the bipartisan calls of this committee and all across this country that you should resign, or maybe when the president wakes up from his nap, he can fire you." So this was a second article about this situation and important details about the attempted assassination and the connection of the phones that went from Crooks' house and his work to the Gallery Place, the 11-story mixed building constructed over the Chinatown metro station, filled with retail stores and restaurants, but also houses the offices of the FBI on the upper floors. And this is a direct link to the shooter, to the FBI offices. Inside job, people. Inside job. How horrible. How horrible that we're having to deal with this kind of evil and hatred. I mean, if you don't like one opponent, then you just kind of have to buck up and accept that. Right from the start, the far left liberals have tried to bring Donald Trump down. They want a globalist, socialist government here, and they're trying to change our way of life and take out someone who cherishes our heritage the way that it has been with the Constitution. These are absolutely stunning details that help to prove that this whole assassination attempt was deliberately inspired by an evil group of people that are all connected. I hope that with these videos you're figuring all of this out. Shalom for now. I've got to go. I'll see you in the next video. Please give a like and please support my channel work. Thanks a lot.